Okay guys, so back up at the garage today, and I've been sort of pottering about really. I've been thinking about the car all week and what I can do and making progress, and then when I'm up here, it's really nice just simply to be up here. It's really quite serene, very relaxing up here. You can see there's nothing going on, there's loads of birds, somebody mowing the lawn, and it's just my favorite time of year really. And it's just really nice just to be up here. Filming as well for YouTube, you know, it's I really enjoy sharing the content and stuff, but it does add an element of work, quite a large element of work to, and I guess stress really to working up at the garage. Sort of torn between just getting on and doing it and not bothering to film, but also wanting to get the content out there so I can share it with you guys. But I guess that's no big deal. So yeah, I'm finding it a little bit hard to get started today because often is the case that, you know, as I said, I think about the car during the week and all the jobs that I can do and think, oh God, you know, as soon as I'm up there, I can just crack on. But then when I'm actually here, it's just like, wow, yeah, there's so much still to do. And then you think, where do you start? So I just haven't been starting yet. I've just been wandering around. I've got the Hoover, I'm gonna do some tidying up, but I do know I have to start. So I'm probably gonna start with some connections in the engine, that one last connection in the engine, connections to the gearbox and stuff like that. So yeah, these connections here, that's got to go to the back of the gearbox. That's the reversing light. And I've also got this connection here, which needs to go into that junction box up there. I checked some old footage and this one, I think I've got those around the wrong way actually. That has to go on top and that has to go on the bottom. I think I might be completely wrong, but that goes in from the back. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so that was that missing connector. It literally just plugs into that bracket down there. So I asked the same question in the last video and one of you guys got back to me, which was really handy, saying that it is a typical connector which does nothing on this variation of the 996, but may well be used for other engine models in the same body shape. Hasn't lined up there, you see. Doesn't want to go in. Okay, so sometimes when you're doing up the engine mount bolts, one side goes in, but the other side doesn't, because there's a square part of the bolt which fits in the square part of the engine carrier. And I just had to lower it down on the left-hand side to bring it up on the right, and now it goes in well. So they're tightened up, but now I'm going to torque them up to 85 Newton meters. Perfect. I'll just mark them up to make sure I remember that I've done them, and that's one more set of bolts torqued. Just checking whether that extra connection is sitting correctly in there. So I can't see this, but you can, I guess. So that needs to, is the clearance behind there? Looks like it. I'm just going to push that on and then that on like that. Okay, so earthing strap to body is 15 Newton meters. Just got to put that cap down on the top, and that is done. So I'm just editing this video and I realised that when I put that those connections back together, I actually packed that plastic box full of grease. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, whether that will actually help in the future. But you might remember when I took it apart, when I started the restoration of the car and took the engine out, those power cables inside that little plastic box were completely corroded. The connections were green and crusty. So as I said, packing it with grease, and let me know your thoughts whether that's the best thing to do. So I'm just connecting up the shifter cables, but I just want to make sure that inside that I've got the alignment tool for the shifter box so that I can connect these up. Okay guys, so this is the thing I'm talking about, that green bracket there. So I actually installed that a while back when I bought it. So the shifter is in the correct position. Now I've just got to check the manual whether you connect here first, because here's the adjustment, or at the gearbox. I'm guessing at the gearbox first and then here, so I might have to come back in here and take these off. So just getting sidetracked quickly because I was looking through the manual and spied the torque wrench settings for the ground strap from the engine to the body, and they are 23 Newton meters on both connections. So that is an E12 fitting, and this is a 13mm socket. Okay, so with the ground strap to the engine, slightly more difficult to get to with the larger sockets. What are they, 1/2 inch? In fact, it doesn't really fit. So do me a favor, if you're doing the same, torque the ground strap to the engine before you put the engine back in. That is my top tip for the day. Okay, so I've got these connectors on in here. They're all connected in. I had to bend these metal clips slightly back out because when I removed them, or actually no, when the guy who I bought them from removed them, you push those metal tabs in and they actually sort of bend a little bit. So I've bent them out and they click back in. And now I'm just gonna pop in the try and pop in the connectors. There we go. I've put some grease in there already. And they're on. Yes. Ooh, another step forward. Everything in, on. Beautiful. These are the GT3 cables as well, but I suspect that they're exactly the same as the Carrera 2. Okay guys, so I've run into a bit of a problem whereby this little tab here is replicated on the top, and essentially what happens is you push it in and it clicks in there. But I've just tried the gears, and going into reverse, which is what that is, it pops it out of the bracket because the tab on the top is missing, and I didn't realize that when I bought these. So the guy who sold them to me said, no, they're all fine, they're not damaged at all, and clearly they are, so that's a bit frustrating. So the way around that is obviously to buy a new set of cables, which are very expensive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very small bracket to come off with this securing bolt for this holder here, and let me show you. I'm going to use a little cable connector, and what I'm planning on doing, just to make it as neat as possible, is I'm going to flatten out this piece here and drill a hole in it for a cable tie. So let's give it a go. So I'm just going to file that square now. Okay, so I've shaped this up, I've given it a square hole, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat it up again and just slightly bend up that tab there. Okay, so that thing I did before just didn't work because having crafted it perfectly, it just split when I was just bending it around, so I've got a bit of angle, I think this is stainless steel or whatever it is, and drilled out the holes here and here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this cable tie through, and that should work fine. Okay, that's finally got that done. So I've torqued up the bolts to the transmission, they're 45 Newton meters. And now you can see my solution there, which I think is pretty neat, you know. I mean, I can live with things like that because the cost of buying new cables for that one clip is mad. So that is a little tip for anybody who has the same issue. So I've just moved on to the water pipes now. I've just cleaned that connection up and that one there. But I thought with the oil housing exposed like that, I thought I might drain the oil because I drained some of it, obviously, when I was doing the work on the engine over in that corner over there, but not all of it. So taking that off, taking the drain plug. Okay, let's see how much actually comes out. Yeah, quite a lot as it goes. Crikey. I thought most of it came out when I took the cylinder head off, but clearly not. It's coming out thick and fast. I'll let that drain and then take the oil filter housing off. Okay, so a bit of prattling about there, but nonetheless, I've got the water lines on, all the brackets in. So there's a bracket up there, there's a bracket here, there's a bracket there, and yeah, I've got the, it looks a little bit far forward actually, I might move that back slightly. But yeah, using these high quality stainless steel Norma Jubilee clips makes a massive difference. They're such good quality. In fact, these are from Porsche and they're also from Norma, but they're a slightly lesser quality than these ones. They're more expensive obviously, but these are thicker. I think these are something like 12mm and these are 9, and these feel much better to use, so I'm happy about using those. And basically on every connection almost on the car I've got a Jubilee clip rather than those other things that Porsche supply. So I'm actually just going to loosen that off and move that back slightly to take any strain off that water pipe, but that is another job done. Okay, I also just took this lower water pipe off, and there was actually still coolant in the engine, and it was quite, I suppose, not really corroded, but grimy under there. So I cleaned up the fitting and the pipe, and also put a new Jubilee clip on. But now what I want to do, and it's something I've always wanted to do, is take the oil pan off, because I want to check the oil, I don't know what you call it, but the, well, part of the oil pump system. I just want to check the gauze to make sure there's nothing blocked in there, and have a good look. Okay, so this is quite exciting because I'm just taking off the oil pan for the first time ever, and oops, it's quite tight, and I wanted to get it on camera to show you guys, because yeah, it's pretty exciting. See what the state of play is under there. So I've just loosened off this side. So there is a place here where you can ease it off, and I've already done that. But there isn't one on the other side. So I think what I'm going to do is just take the screws out and just pull it down, because it's clearly just the Loctite that's holding it on there. Obviously I've got to be careful with the oil now. So I've got to make sure they're all out. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. There we are. There's quite a lot of oil still in there actually. Let me see if I can show you that. You can see how much oil is actually left in there once the engine is drained of oil. So it's well worth doing this. Okay, let me put this down and come back to you. So yeah, if I get you up in there already, I've just had a quick look up. Oops, careful. Put that back over there. And you can see in that gauze, and I don't want to get oil all over my phone for obvious reasons, but you can see in that gauze there's stuff up there. So let's go around here. Yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff up there. So I'm already thinking that was worth doing. So I'm going to give it a clean up and then see what you're supposed to do with this by cleaning this. Okay, so just getting that out in the daylight, you can see particles there in that sieve. So I'm going to get some of those particles out and see if I can see what they are. I've got a sneaky feeling though, they are chain guides, the material from the chain guides. Okay guys, so quick update. It's yeah, a couple of hours has passed since I actually did the last update. But basically what I've done is I've taken the oil pickup tube out. As you saw, I've cleaned the gauze. I've got a whole bunch of stuff there which I collected from that gauze. I've also cleaned all of the seal away from the rim, and I've also cleaned up, I didn't film any of it unfortunately, it's quite satisfying, but I cleaned up the sump pan, or the oil pan, front and back. Do a bit better on the back actually, but anyway, I need to get this on this evening, and I also want to go home. So I've got the sealant here ready to go, and I'm going to put a 1.5mm bead all the way around and then torque down the bolts. Okay, so there's my bead going all the way around. I don't know actually whether it needs these bits over the bolt holes, but I did them anyway. But to my mind, that makes it all a bit messy, to be honest, because the bead, a continuous bead going around, is easy enough to achieve. But yeah, it's just those bits going around the bolt holes. But anyway, they're on there, and I'm going to put them on now. Oil pan to engine is 10 Newton meters. It doesn't say that there's a pattern in which to do it, but I'm going to go crisscross. Check them going around. I think I've done all of them. Yeah. Excellent. Right, that is another jobbed. The only thing I still haven't got out is this blasted oil filter housing. I think I'm going to have to get the proper tool. Not forgetting, of course, the drain plug, which is 50 Newton meters. There we go. We're in. So that is now done. Okay guys, so it's been a long and pretty good innings today, so I'm going to pack up now, and I've got to do some tidying up, and then I'm going to head home. So I'll see you tomorrow.